Get ready. Hold tight. It's
Hold on to your hats, boys.
Libos. Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week.
A little bit old for you.
We're that deep into Danny Roll. Please don't click that.
Been truly horrific having this season away from home.
I want gold.
Anyone would think that we rehearse this, and I guarantee that we haven't.
How poor do we have to be before it's happened? How much blood from this stone does he have to get?
For Wednesday Week! Ash, what are you doing? Ash, we're live. What are you doing?
Oh, shit. So I was just polishing our trophy.
I love the way you got a cloth ready for that, or it might have been a sock that was already in that bedroom. Yeah, put it there, mate. Put it there. Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week, the award-winning Wednesday Week. I promise we'll stop milking this at some point, but we're still not settled down as it goes. We'll tell you all about our time in that London. We'll probably spend about 5 minutes on it, and then we've got a game to talk about at home against Cardiff City, in which none of us took the spoils, in spite of our best efforts. John, how are you? Big win for the Finns last night.
Yeah, awesome game. Yeah, I enjoyed watching that. Looks like it could be on a roll. We'll see. So yeah, it was Wednesday drew, and we'll talk about that. And then Finns won, so it was a pretty decent weekend for sport for me.
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Ash, how are you? Have you recovered yet? I know you're not great for the day after.
Just this morning, mate. Just this morning. The 5 o'clock alarm for work. Really did me. But yes, all good, mate.
I've had myself a sneaky day off today as well, so that's why we've got new countdown credits, and I've managed to shoe on the graphics. Stevie, I know you moved house. Now, for those who don't know, Stevie's moved home in the last couple of days. Ironically, it was the day after we went down to London, and he went, "I'm moving house an hour ago, and I'm still in London." So did really well there, Stevie.
Yeah, and he's just out to him.
I did move house, though. I did. Nothing's out, and I'm living out of boxers and wearing retro football shirts because it's the only thing that I can find. And I'm currently recording from my mum's house. So, yeah, there you go.
I genuinely enjoy it. So if you are watching out there on internet land, Ash is going to be manning the comments this evening. Is going to be telling us what you guys are saying. I've noticed a few comments already in about our award, folks. So Ash, let's get some lauding out of the way. Let's do some lauding, shall we?
Yeah. Do we have to? I mean, come on.
Yes.
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 Starmers and Tory.
Brilliant.
Congratulations on the award. Cheers. Thank you very much. Sharman, good evening, award-winning beautiful souls. So, Matt Strickland, did someone win an award? Yes, we did.
Did we not mention?
We all did. Not just us on the podcast. I think all the contributors and followers and all you guys as well, listening. Thank you very much.
Go on.
10 seconds in, and we've got a joke. Yeah.
A self-flagellation joking. You're not playing games here, kids. And it's that type of quality content that in why we did win. So I'll just get it out of the way now, and then we'll get into the football. So for those who didn't know, we were nominated for what's called a Football Content Award, something that I didn't realise the gravitas of until I got there. Until we realised the VIP tables were taken up by people like Sky Sports and Paddy Power, and there were professional outlets there like the Overlap and people such as that. You know what I mean? So we were in good company on Thursday night. We went down to Tottenham, and there was a point where I was quite overwhelmed. I was a little bit like, wow. And as Ash says, and I really want to genuinely say this from the bottom of my heart, that we wouldn't have been anywhere near that award had it not been for you guys filling in that online form, had it not been for the feedback that we get, for the charity drives that Ash has taken the lead on, for example, the Easter egg drop and the most recent packed drop, which we'll get into later on. But I'll let Stevie tell you about the start of the evening because he's got some trouser-based issues.
You bastard. So it's a fancy award. You're going to go down to London, and you want to look your best. And I have to say, Ash looked dapper, Dan looked dapper, If you see the photos, I look like I'm a cross between somebody who's up for an award and somebody who's begging for money outside of McDonald's at their King's Cross.
At least you didn't look like Steve Evans with your shirt
Yes.
hanging out.
So I've lumped on about trainers and suit including. I've lumped on about 450 quid's worth of gear to get myself down there. And Ash has booked the hotel, which I've just remembered tonight. I still need to pay him for. I say hotel; it's more like a student bed sit, but who cares? It was somewhere to put his heads.
That's what they call hotels in London, mate. You know what I mean?
Fair. So we pitched up at King's Cross, but there's no parking by King's Cross. So the nearest parking spot was about 15 minutes away. Cutting it fine because I've been working Thursday morning. Thursday afternoon, I managed to get in there, and I decided that I was going to quick walk all the way through London with my suit on a coat hanger. And I managed to get into the hotel room, laid all my gear out, jumped in the shower, and then got out of the shower and went to get dressed, and my trousers were missing. So I've had a mad panic. I'm wearing a pair of slack corduroys back up to Chef to help me move house the next day. Or option B is the casual grey shorts that I drove down in that afternoon. So I either wear shorts and a suit, or I wear corduroy trousers and a suit. So I've ended up lumping for the corduroy trousers. I've phoned Louise and said, Christ, what am I going to do? I've spoke to Ash. Ash has gone, well, do you want to go back and retrace your steps? By this point, it's 5:15 and we're meeting at 5:30. And then he's gone, excuse my French, fuck it. We're going to be sat down, and if you're under a table and it's dark, nobody's going to see. So I went, all right.
Solid advice, Ash. Solid advice.
So he bought me a beer. I stressed a little bit less and went and met you guys. And then we walked into the pub. What was the pub called that we met you in?
The Bricklayers Arms on Seven Sisters Road.
So we've walked into the Bricklayers, and as we've walked round the corner, we've seen this big frigging unit stood outside wearing a waistcoat, stood like that. And I'm thinking, God, that's a doorman. Turns out it wasn't. It was you. And I've thought to myself immediately, oh Christ, I'm going to look absolutely ridiculous. And you know, I looked absolutely ridiculous, but who cares? We won.
Yeah. You were the only guy who went, oh no, we've won. You know what I mean?
Oh,
so
shit,
yeah, so
that was not his reaction. I assure you that was not his reaction.
I tell you what, look, we did have a great evening. We did eat really well. We drank really well, and we were well looked after. And once again, and I truly mean this, thank you so much. You know, we've had another comment there from Star Mazzatori saying I voted from every country my VPN allowed me to, which I truly thank you so much. It's been weird. You know, there was an odd point where we were about 7 beers deep at this point, and we ended up got on stage, collected our little glass award, and people wanted to network and chat us up and things like that. And I'm like, we were in no state for that.
I've got to say this. So immediately you walk off, and it was really humbling. To your point, it was really, really humbling to have all these people come over and congratulate us and say well done. And then they started, didn't they? They came over and they were shaking our hands and patting us on the back and offering to buy us drinks and so on and so forth. I've just randomly picked it up. This is Tom's card that he slipped into my hand with a handshake and said, let me buy you a drink.
Nice.
Retro football shirts. But all I can remember for the next 10, 15 minutes is people coming up, patting us on the back, saying well done, buying us drinks, etc. And just Dan going, email me. I'll get back to you next week. Let's get on a call next week. The way you did it, you'll be on calls from tomorrow morning till Friday.
Yeah. I start a new job tomorrow, so you know what I mean. I ain't got time for any calling or any networking. But listen, thanks to everybody that's ever been on this show as well. You know, back to the days of Beastie, God rest his soul, Lord Hillsborough, Eddie, Vic, Blair. We had
Monty.
Stokey, we've had Monty
Lord
Dangerous, we had Lord H, whose idea it was to start with. You know what I mean? There's been so many people, Laura Lawrence, there's been so many people on this show, and to the current incarnation it's in now with Simon, John, us three pair reprobates, Charlie and Holly. Thank you again so much for giving up your time, and thank you lot out there for listening and keeping it showbiz. So let's get into the football, shall we? before the international break was the defeat against Sheffield United. So we had that big kick in against Watford. Prior to that, we beat Norwich. So form was what's the word yeah, it was all over the bloody shop. You know what I mean? It was a right mess. And going into it, John, did you feel like this was something we needed, like a lower end of the table team? But we get referred to as Charity FC a lot, and they got rid of their gaffer. They replaced him with the assistant, and all of a sudden he started stringing results together. I mean, how did you feel this one was going to go?
I absolutely couldn't have handpicked a better opponent, to be honest with you. I thought, after giving a decent account of ourselves in the derby, but not ultimately coming away with any points. I think the players, the manager, the coaching staff, everybody was itching to get back on the field and try and put it right, so to speak, get a positive result, get a win. And I thought, Cardiff at home, I thought it looked a winnable fixture. It looked like something that we could really get teeth to look into. So I was feeling ultra positive on this one, Dan, if I'm honest. I thought, like I said, I thought it would have been a game I would have been comfortable with just picking out in a hat and saying, yeah, we'll have them as a bounce back game.
Exactly that, and frustratingly as well, that's one of the few games I haven't picked a 1-1 draw in the in the predictions league that we're doing. And guess what? But Stevie, let's get into the lineup: Beadle, Valerie, Bernard, Lowe, Johnson, Shea, Bannon, Gassama, Windass, Smith, and once again a start for EK Ugbo. How do we what do we do with that?
I don't know. We're at that point because of this, the run that we're talking about in terms of our form, and because of, like John's just said, if you wanted to handpick a team that we were going to play, for me, Cardiff were an ideal opposition. They're not necessarily. They've done all right. They've picked up a little bit with the fella who's gone in terms of instead of the manager they've got rid of. But I still fancied us to go in, and I thought we'd win. And I was pretty confident on Saturday. The team that he picked, I've said it time and again, I still to this day don't think he knows what his best lineup is, and I do feel that Rule chops and changes a little bit, but. I'd no quarrels. I'd no sort of argument with the lineup. I didn't know what sort of formation it was going to be, and to this day, because I was still a little bit drunk, I couldn't tell you whether it was a 3 or a 4. It felt like a 4 at times. It became something of a little bit more fluid 3 at the back, with Gassama dropping into the right hand side and Johnson pushing on a little bit. But no, the lineup was what it was, wasn't it? It was interesting to see. Max Lowe going in there, if it was an iteration or a variation of a back 4 with Lowe going in there as a left centre half. But as we said, Marv dropped in and offered that cover at times, didn't he? And Valerie played out on the right hand side. So yeah, no arguments from me at all.
Ash, what about EK Ugbo? Charlie spoke last week really well about. She kind of said Danny's one of them people that it would destroy his confidence if he dropped him. But that is, do you feel that's 2 points lost because we haven't got somebody scoring, or are you happy to stick with him and keep going until something happens?
That's a hard one, that, isn't it? Because, like you say, he's hardly, he's not scored yet, but he's not like he's been horrendous. I think,
no.
You do know what I mean? He has fits and starts and everything, but I was trying to just remember while you were doing the team then, if my memory's shocking, but when the last game we started with 2 up top, and I know someone was saying that it might have just been Smith and Ugbo just off him wide or something like that, but I thought it was going to be 2 up top, and it looked 2 up top to me. But yeah, if you'd have dropped him for Smith, I mean it's the name of the game, isn't it? You take your chances, you're going to get in the team. If you don't, you're out of it. So I don't think he could have any complaints if he did get dropped, but I think he's just shy of confidence into. He just needs something, and it's an age-old one where you say one off his arse, one off his whatever to go in off him, however, and he'll be happy. And he did have a couple of chances on Saturday as well, but it's a strange one, isn't it? We've bought him because he did really well last season, and. You're buying somebody you're thinking he got his 7 in 12 or something like that. It was, and he's in great form. I know he was injured over summer, but you're looking for that player who who was here in January or end of last season, sorry, to come back to this club and pick up where he left off. And it's just not for him at the minute. And it's frustrating because we saw not, 7, 8 months ago, a cracking player there. And it's just not happened for him.
It's not, but I'm kind of like I'm kind of on the edge now of his happiness over the fans' happiness now a little bit. I'm like, yeah, it might destroy his confidence, but also let's score some bloody goals, shall we? You know what I mean? That'll be it. Let's get into the game, John. Windass had he took it really well, and I thought he'd floated it over the goalkeeper, an absolute beauty, but he's struggling to find his finishing form, isn't he, a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. He's also got a bit of the sulking going on as well, hasn't he? When as we found out later in the game. But yeah, it was a good chance that it just put a little bit too much on it, didn't it? So it just didn't quite drop. A cracking ball later on in the game. But yeah, I think it's just the whole team's just bereft of goal scoring prowess, aren't they? They're just a little bit gun shy as well at times. It's like they get into opportunities and you think, have a shot. And they don't. Like that Ugbo, obviously, we've just spoken about him. He looks bereft of confidence as well. And it's like he got into a really good position. And I know, a lot of footballers aren't, 2-footed or whatever, but it looked prime for him to hit it on his left. But he took that extra touch to bring it back in onto his right, and the chance was effectively lost. And I think, and like Stevie said earlier, it's just trying to find that combination that's gonna work and gonna, give us some attacking prowess, because I thought we absolutely dominated that game, but we're just toothless in the final third, aren't we? We really are, and Rule's got his work cut out to try and find the winning formula for that kind of play. And yeah, Windass has struggled at times as well, definitely.
Yeah, when I did the hello from the other side for the Hull City game, the upcoming game, I wrote on the tweet after a lackluster display against Cardiff, and somebody called us out on it. And to be fair, they're dead right. I wouldn't go as far as calling it lackluster. It was more, a lackluster result, as it were. I'm trying to think what came next. There was Stevie. I think it was Shea Charles missed a bit of a tackle in the middle of the park. Somebody who was quite dependable as they've broken through for their goal. Shea Charles kind of missed it, and we've got a geezer marauding into the box, haven't we?
For their goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's come across, hasn't it? And then Bannon's gone. And it was interesting because even though I was sat elsewhere for different reasons on Saturday, you still get the Bannon hate. Bloody Bannon's fault, that. Bloody Bannon's fault. And he's gone in and he's clipped it and it's broken away. The guys, he's tried to lift it over their player and it's just bounced off their player and bounced and gone towards the halfway line. I don't know how many people looking back on the replay will notice that Max Lowe's just lost his head and decided he's going to leave the man that he's marking on the halfway line and sprint 20 yards to a ball that he's never going to get. And that left the fella who's just going to knock it through in acres. And then he could go and run forwards. And to their credit, everybody sort of made the effort to get back. But I couldn't help on their goal thinking if Lowe had held his position, held his line as that last line of defence, we're not finding that fella getting that isolated run that's going to get him through on the left-hand side that's going to allow him to take the shot that it was Callum Robinson, I think, wasn't it, that ultimately Beadle palms out, and then it just became a bit of a sort of a free-for-all, didn't it? The ball's bounced about, it's ricocheted, and their lad, watching him, it was almost apologetic when he's put it in, and it felt very much, we're talking about lackluster and, underwhelming. The celebration, he's ended up falling flat on his face, and he stood up and he almost only half celebrated because at that point in the game, Wednesday were dominant. And they'd had a couple of sort of opportunities on the break and so forth, but we were the better team significantly. I think we were the better team throughout, but yeah,
it goes down to class a little bit, doesn't it? Because when Sheffield United scored against Coventry, they went absolutely mental. They were getting their ass smashed to them. They absolutely handed to him before they scored. Ashley, what are the comments saying? And then we'll get into it in terms of the football with yourself.
Gary Fox, to be fair, a lot of the chances that fall to us never just fall nice. It's either on the player's wrong foot or just behind, but it's our luck, I'm afraid. Slappy Gilmore's been on. Totally agree, John. It's borderline scandalous, the amount of games where we've been the better side and come away empty-handed. Chucking points away, boys.
Yeah, I agree entirely. If I'm honest, I feel like it's those types of opportunities that we don't take are what cost you a couple of slots on the league table by the time the season finishes. Go on, Steve.
Have you got the stats, mate?
Would you like the stats? I've got stats. I've got a lovely graphic.
I wanted to raise this because I was having a little bit of a look. If you do some sort of, I'm not saying we're going to go into massive amount of detail and analysis, but you look at the percentage, but it's a damning indictment, isn't it, that we've had 16 shots and only 3 on target. They've had 9 and 4, and we've had an equal number of shots that are off target. And you look at the shots that are blocked. To me, when I was looking at that, and we've also got the box touches, which are, we doubled the number of touches that we'd had in the box. And we have more corners. We are significantly better at getting forwards, but when it comes when push shove and you get into that final third, we're abject. And I don't think there's a better way of putting it at the moment. We don't look clinical. We don't feel clinical. We're not edge of the seat at the moment. There's an opportunity that's going to present itself, and then we're going to get that goal. It's almost expected that we fluff our lines, and I think that's a real problem. And I know that Rule had sort of alluded to that in his post-match, saying he was frustrated that we dominated the game in the way that we had, but we'd only come away with a point. And I don't know what we do to address that. We've talked about Ugbo, and we've talked about Smith getting his opportunities, and you're going to get that inevitable clamour now for McNeil getting a chance, or we shouldn't have got rid of Cadamartri, or whatever that may be. At the end of the day, I don't know what the answer is, but at the minute, something's not quite right. It's not clicking up top, is it, at all? The rest of the game on Saturday, I thought was fine. I thought we played the ball well. We've created opportunities. Gassama had done all right going down the right hand side, particularly in the first half. Charles and Bannon in the middle. I know that I go against the grain at times when I think Bannon continues to play under the radar. So I thought he was excellent again on Saturday.
Yep.
I don't think we were outplayed in any sort of way, shape or form on Saturday, but at the end of the day, we've had all of these opportunities. And in terms of clear-cut chances, they've had more shots on target with half the shots that we'd had. And we're just not getting anything out of it.
No, we aren't. And it's starting to frustrate a little bit, especially that we've got 3 capable strikers. Although you touched upon it earlier on, Stevie mentioned it, Ash, about Windass. I thought he played very well. I thought that was one of his best games this season, as ridiculous as that sounds. I know it's daft to say after a 1-1 draw, but his ball for the goal, I thought was beautiful. Yeah,
it was, but I think Valerie's ball to Windass was even better. I think is the pass. Was it a slide rule pass? I think the old money. Yeah, and that for Windass onto it, and then a ball across. And I tell you what, I'm glad Bernard beat Musaba to it, because I've watched the highlights and it looks like Musaba was well offside when the ball come in. But it was great, and obviously Bernard was up there from previous corner, weren't it? I think it was a couple of minutes earlier. And he deserved it. I think he's been. I know we've been talking about other players and strikers and stuff, but I think he's him over the last 6-7 games. I think he's been immense, Bernard, and it's well worth his goal. He's not the best attacking threat at corners with headers and stuff. I know he's had a couple. He scored one. We're at Blackpool, weren't it, in the cup. But he's not a great threat, but with his feet, it was a great goal.
But nobody is, are they?
Well, we've seen from the stats show that we're not. It's not something when we get a corner and everyone starts cheering, going, it's like, just put 2 men back in case they break. Do you know what I mean?
Hey, I will have you know that we had a free kick on the left-hand side and Barry Bannon floated an absolute beauty of it. So he can do it. It is there. It's in his arsenal.
I'm not saying I didn't comment anything about Bannon's obviously ineptability or whatever the word is to hit past the first man, because he has got better. It's not just that; it's the whole set piece about it, isn't it? Where you're going to go, where you're going to put the ball, where the defenders or attackers put in. Yeah, it's all of it, and they've brought someone in for that, and seems like we've showed it up at the back off set pieces, but just still not got that attacking threat.
Absolutely. Now, I noticed that Holly's been on in the comments, Ash, and I feel like the last few weeks she's been like one of them backseat drivers. I bet she's a nightmare in the bloody car. She's driving this podcast from a settee, I can assume. What nonsense is she talking about? Bloody women on this bloody podcast.
Like Gary said, those chances for the Cardiff goal didn't drop for us. It never drops for Ugbo in the same way scramble second balls drop to them. Yeah, and I totally agree with that. I made that comment numerous times to people I sit with about everything just seemed to toe on something, just managed to take it away, a bounce, a thing, all sorts of just.
It's a good result for them, if I'm honest, given given how they played and where they are in the league.
I think there is an element of luck in it not falling to us, but I also think sometimes we're just not putting players in right places, like falling. Amount of time you think, why is nobody stood on edge of box for that? Because it fell and then they just broke on us. And you're like, if we had a man there, they could control that, have a shot or put the ball back in. So sometimes again, it's just that decision making in the final third, and that includes set pieces as well. So it's just something we've got to get better at. And I know he's only got the same players to work with now, and there's a fair few games between now and January, but he's got to find a formula, hasn't it? Otherwise, it's going to dictate whether we're shopping at Sainsbury's or Aldi, isn't it, come January?
Sainsbury's or Aldi. I was going to say it's always Aldi. We're in a credit crunch right now, John. Now, John, I'll stick with you. Now, we've spoken a lot in depth in this show in reference to Masaba and Gassama not releasing the ball quick enough. But Gassama's confidence in taking that long-range shit pinger that he went for, I was like, oh, who's this that Brentford's got to his head? Imagine if that had gone in, there'd have been scenes on toast.
He had some really good passages of play, didn't he, on Saturday? A couple of early mistakes where he couldn't trap a bag of cement early doors, could he? But then after that, he was like, hang on a minute, I'm just gonna run, I'm gonna take players on, I'm gonna have a shot, I'm gonna put a cross in, get to the byline. Ultra positive Gassama on Saturday, and for the most part, he played really well. He still has those issues where he can trip over his own feet sometimes or get knocked off the ball pretty easily. But he's a young lad. He's still got time to develop that side of his game and get some physicality into his game. But really positive signs. And the Masaba and Gassama thing seems to be like this every week, doesn't it? Or it certainly did. But I think Gassama is starting to pull away a little bit now in the Masaba, who starts, who sits, kind of.
The gas must conundrum, I think we'll call it. It sounds like an episode of Big Bang Theory. Now, as the game started to play out, Stevie, did you feel like the game was there for the taking and we just didn't manage to get a bit of luck on those finishes, or did you feel like Cardiff consolidated somewhat?
A little from column A and a little from column B, if I'm honest with you. It was difficult, and I don't want to harp on about Thursday, Friday, but lunchtime with a couple of free beers in the morning. The second half became a bit of a drag, if I'm honest with you. However, having said all of that, it felt to me like, having watched back and jokes aside, I've gone back and had a look. If there was a team that were going to win it, it felt like it was going to be us, and it almost had that sort of that feel of QPR at the back end of last season. The middle of last season where we scored late on and it was Masaba, ironically, that got the injury time winner. I could feel that something like that might have happened, but at the same time, we just feel so toothless. You don't know how it's going to break and what's going to happen. And, we get to the sort of the 80th minute and we're looking at Jamal Lowe coming on, Masaba coming on, Gassama going out. I've made my feelings known with the greatest of respect to Callum Patterson. By the time we're doing that, it just feels a little bit desperate, if I'm honest with you. And I just personally, I wouldn't have been surprised if we nicked a winner, but from the sort of 75th minute on, it felt like a 1-1 all day long, didn't it?
I'm going to ask a question here, Daniel. Is that all right?
Go for it, mate.
Stevie, were you disappointed with the subs? We were 1-1, and they did seem a bit defensive. The first three, I know Valentin. I know he came on, and I thought he did really well when he came on. But it did feel like him, Palmer, and who was the other one?
Palmer and Paul on 75, and then Pato, Masaba and Lowe on 82.
No, the defensive but wise players. And I thought, like you said, we were well up on the game. I thought, and I think it could have been the other way around. I'd have brought the other three on, and then the other two another 10 minutes before, or the other way around. That's what I was a bit disappointed. And it's not very often we criticise roles that substitutions, but I just thought maybe on this one, with us being so well up, that a bit defensive.
It's not very often that you see him leaving it that late, do you? He's got a formula, and he'll tend to go right subs at half time if it's not going right, i.e. we're losing, or he tends to make his substitutions on the hour, doesn't he? So the fact that we've gone 75 minutes, I can only think one or two things. He thought we had enough in the tank with the players on the pitch, or he'd seen enough because we were that dominant, and 61% possession indicates that we were on top of the game, the number of shots and opportunities that we were creating without actually being a threat, a significant threat on goal. So as he left it that late because he was thinking about getting something out of the game with the players that he had on the pitch. But to your point, I agree with you. And you know me and my adoration of Liam Palmer, bringing Palmer on for Valerie on 75 minutes. How is that changing the game?
Do you know what, Stevie? Let's put a pin in that one, because I'm intrigued by that. But in the meantime, some people are going to try and sell you something. Stay with us, and we'll continue the Cardiff chat after the break. That was good, that one. I like it when we come back like that. It's less jarring when you listen to it live, when you listen to the audio recording. So yes, Stevie. So I feel like the subs were the wrong way round. And I said on Radio Humberside this afternoon, I said on Hello from the Other Side this week, that Pep Guardiola has got blood on his hands in terms of the way that football is played now. It's boring. We've ruined football. Football is far too patient now. No one's going gung-ho. No one's going for it. Yes, we're creating a decent amount of chances, but nothing like we used to back in the old days. Grumble, grumble, grumble. It's not like the old days. And do you feel like they... Like what you were saying, that bringing on Palmer and Paul when he did was there to shore it up somewhat?
I wouldn't necessarily say shoring it up. Of the two that came on, like I've said, with the greatest respect to Liam Palmer, I don't think bringing him on for Valerie at right back, which is the way that it went.
It's not the best use of either of them, is it?
No, it's not. And I actually thought Paul did really well. He was a threat going forwards, but it's. Why leave it so late, to get to that point? We know what he's going to offer us. If he gets another 15 minutes, is that going to change the game? Hearsay is a wonderful, hindsight is a wonderful thing, isn't it? But yeah, I didn't look at those first two changes and think, right, that's going to offer more of an attacking threat or an attacking proposition, or get something where we're going to get something out of the game. And I like Lowe. I do like Jamal Lowe. I think Masaba, having said everything that we've said, Masaba off the bench as an impact player is probably only 10 to 15 minutes, including injury time. I think that's all he's worth at the moment, because he just hasn't been consistent enough. And I'd probably argue the same for Patterson. So the second round of substitutions, I wasn't, on reflection, that frustrated about. But I just, the first two, we've talked about McNeil. Is he there just for experience, or is it something that we can offer that's a little bit different in terms of impotence?
Give him a go.
We're not scoring,
you know what I mean?
And he has scored. And with due respect, the Cardiff backline ain't great.
I don't want to sit here and talk about benchitis. Do you know what I mean? if we've got three strikers, or we've got Smith and the other two strikers that aren't firing on all cylinders right now. Football's a form game. I'm not saying the poor players. Sometimes it drops in, sometimes it doesn't. Why haven't we given McNeil a run out? You know what I mean? And like you said, Cardiff set themselves up at the back to stick a few Lego bricks at the back and get rid of it. McNeil might have caused them some problems. You never know. Although I can also understand Ash, why Patterson came on, although he did miss a sitter, didn't he?
I've watched it again, and I don't think it was a sitter. I think he should have hit the target better. I know it come off the guy's chest, and everyone shouted handball. I don't think it was a stonewall sitter. But yeah, if you are, I love Pato, and obviously what it brings for that 10, 15 minutes, that it gets the crowd up into it. It did. The crowd was a bit louder when he came on, but he nearly got himself sent off, didn't he? Actually,
good. Means he's working out.
But that's not what you want, though, is it? And for all that is great and it looks good, but when we're scrapping, literally was virtually scrapping for that winner, it's not what you want. He does put himself about a bit and everything, but yeah, it's just not what you want. And I don't agree with the McNeil thing. His 2 goals that he scored were gimmies. I know, like we have.
I don't know. One of them, mate, was an absolute shit pinger at top bins for no reason.
It was played across like 17 yards out and hardly anyone there, so he had to, didn't it?
But he's not done any. But the thing
but I was going to say, I don't know what he's doing in training or not doing in training.
And that's it
for Danny to look at.
He's not shown me anything on the pitch where I've looked at him and gone, he's got no right being on the pitch now. And I know that we had it was Alex, wasn't it? Alex Miller was on the other week, and I think it might have been off camera where he was talking about potentially Charlie McNeil is definitely one for the future, and he's going to be in and around the squad. And whatever happened with Cadamartri and whatever happens in terms of the goal scoring and everything else that's going on in terms of our attackers, Charlie McNeil has been bought for the future, and we may yet see him go away and go on loan. However, given where we are, and I was just having a quick look actually, the whole game, without wanting to get ahead of ourselves, Dan talked to their guy, and I think he said they'd scored 16 goals, and 10 of them came in 3 games, which means that they've effectively scored 6 goals in 13 games. Oh my God, they've hardly scored any. If you look at how many goals we've scored, we've only scored 2 more than they have.
Yeah, it was a fight, that conversation about who was the biggest charity case, which I really enjoyed.
It was a really good listen, to be fair.
John, I'll come to you about the substitution point in just a second. Ashley, if you can do me some comments, my darling, see what the mans are saying.
If you give me a little bit more thing, I'll have a look.
You get nothing. You get nothing in this. I'm using you so I can have a break and think about what I'm going to say next.
All right. Oh, cheers. Yeah, great. I agree loads with Steve. I don't know why people do that, but I felt like
agree with Stevie.
Yeah, but I felt like Cardiff, in fairness to them, absolutely defended for their lives and played for the draw in the end. Absolute last-ditch defending stuff from the Bluebirds. Was it? Because I don't think we troubled them that much, was it? I don't think Pato's in the last 5 minutes, and I think their keeper made Ugbo cleared one nearly off the line.
I think he means they probably played a couple of deep lines, like, you know what I mean, some deep banks of players just to try and keep us out.
They didn't fear us, did they? To be honest, I know they got themselves in front, and then we pegged them back. And although we were clearly the better side, I don't think anyone can argue that. We didn't scare them. We don't scare teams because we haven't got the goal threat yet, have we? So I think they were just quite kind of like, yeah, come at us, come at me, bro. You know what I mean?
Come at me, bro. Go on.
Sharman just said, "Are we being a bit harsh? Conditions didn't really lend themselves to sexy football."
Which is, smudge and pato football, I think, is the antithesis of sexy football, isn't it? And I'm all right with smudge and pato. I spent a lot of years playing Sunday League football, and I'm all right with smudge and pato football.
A comment from Karen. Thought all the substitutions were too late. Not sure why he took Windass off either. And John alluded to that earlier. Thought Bannon by then should have been substituted. Probably get shot for that comment.
Fair play, Karen. It's a bold shout, but we do need to start planning for life without Barry Bannon. I don't know how long he's got left in him, but you know what I mean? That might be something we need to look at. John, I'll tell you what.
Sorry, Dan, would that be taking him off 10, 15 minutes before?
I agree.
At 1-1.
I think it's too late. I think it's too late. I think bringing on Masaba and Patterson on the 82nd minute was too late because all of a sudden the game's winding down and all the rest of it. 75, I kind of get. But go on, John. Let's talk about 82nd minute. Josh Windass is playing one of his best games he's played this season, looking like a threat every time he picked up the ball, and then he got hooked.
Yeah, and he took it well though, didn't he? I mean, honestly. If anyone was at the game, he didn't really take it well, and the water bottle got the brunt of it. But no, he was playing well, and I think it was the kind of game where he didn't want to leave the pitch until he'd either scored or created another assist. The game was there for the taking, but we just couldn't unlock him. And he's one of the few players that we've got that can do a bit of magic, can't he? Whether it be like we saw at Blackburn, where he chips the keeper off his line or diving header at Wembley. He's the kind of player that you want for one moment, one chance. If you're going to say you've got one chance, who you want it for to at the minute, I think Windass's name would be up there.
He had that after about 8 minutes and fluffed it.
He did, yeah, fair play. But I'd still rather it fall to him than number right now. So but yeah, and as we've just said, the subs came a bit late, and it is a bit out of character for Danny because he does like Stevie said, he does tend to get those subs in early around the 60-65 minute mark. Whether that's to we're losing, we're trying to get back in it, or in the case on Saturday we're drawing and we're trying to go for the win. So a little bit late if you're being critical. But yeah, we just I don't know, we just couldn't unlock them. We just can't. We're just a team, aren't we? That that we might get a goal, but you're never confident of getting 2 or 3 and just running away with games. We huff and puff a lot, but we very much rely on getting that first goal as well to get victories. If we go a goal down, you're thinking, can this team get 2 goals to win the game? And that's a worry. And I know he's working his arse off, excuse my French, on the training pitch, trying to get it all, get them all firing on all cylinders. But yeah, hopefully he can do something, because that were definitely 2 points dropped.
When was the last time we had a goal from a substitute? Anyone? I know it's a one to think about, but
I tell you what, if Holly's sat watching it, I'll let her Holly, can you find that out for us, please, in the background, and just chuck it in the comments, because at the minute they're all talking about what their carpool karaoke track would be. Stevie, what would your karaoke track be?
My karaoke track, as in what would I sing?
Yeah.
Mine's Barbie Girl by Aqua.
Ash's is Barbie Girl. I can see that. What about yours, Stevie?
I used to sing a bit of Elvis on the karaoke.
Brilliant.
Yeah. The Wonder of You.
I can just imagine you doing that, actually. What about you, John?
I like Robbie Williams. If I do karaoke, it's usually something by Robbie.
Is it usually Angels?
I've done Angels, yeah. I've done that one, yeah.
Give us a rendition now. Do it now, John.
Oh, no, I can't.
Clip that.
Oh, hang on. Oh, John, something wrong with your mic, mate. You've muted yourself. I
was just about to start singing. Now, listen. So Sheffield Wednesday came out in a 1-1 draw, leaving us pretty much in the same position we were before. But it's gonna start happening soon that we're going to be checking the league table and finding out where everybody is. We've had Wickerman been on. He said that he loves an Aladdin Whole New World duet. I like. I tell you what, Stevie. I can do Vanilla Ice. Ice's Baby. Don't drop a syllable, mate. Honest, you should see it. It's impressive.
Yeah. He follows me on. He follows me on Twitter.
Cooking MC's like a pound of bacon.
Cooking MC's like a pound of bacon. Best line anybody's ever written.
Can we clip John going, cooking MC's like a pound of bacon?
I'll mix it into the song. Ashley, now I'm gonna get this in. We need to thank the people out there again. So I'm gonna come to you once again to talk about something that you did in the you and the under the guise of the podcast. Do I say that? Is that the right way of doing it? But I genuinely, Ash is really modest about this type of stuff, but I wanted to take his plaudits, so I'm going to make him talk about it now. But this was the packed drop, Ash.
Yes, it was. Yeah, so a few weeks ago, if you remember, we bombarded you with all these posters and requests for your donations for shampoo, shower gel, deodorants, flannels, toothbrush, toothpaste, tissues, fluffy socks, and games for our charity partner, Pact. And I've had a busy couple of weeks with other bits and pieces, work and stuff, so I've been a bit slack. But yesterday, with the help
award ceremonies in London, it's going to take your time up.
Yeah, I know it does, doesn't it? With the help of my family, and we managed to count all your donations. So
give us the numbers, Ashley. Give us the numbers.
Yeah. So my living room, not Willy Wonka's factory this time. It looked like Boots,
Willy Wankers,
Super Drug, and all that. So yeah, I'll just run it down. 72 tubes of toothpaste. Can't even speak now. Toothpaste.
We don't rehearse this.
59 bottles of men's shower gel, 46 men's deodorant, 122 toothbrushes, nearly 400 packs of tissues, 55 women's shower gel, 79 bottles of shampoo conditioner. Like the generation game, this, isn't it? And a partridge in a pear tree.
Toy.
11 pairs of fluffy socks, 50 flannels, and 29 children's hand toys, like little games of cards or little things like that as well. So a fantastic collection. Thank you very much. And like we always say, we can't do it without you guys listening, watching, everything. Fantastic. Again, the Sheffield Wednesday fan base. Wednesday nights come out to support a charity again. And it's fantastic. A credit to the club and everyone you are. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, we're at a weird point of the season where there's not a lot of news coming out of Sheffield Wednesday, and I'm actually bereft of something to talk about for these last 15 minutes. So here's an opportunity for you guys out there to ask us another question like we did the Q&A last week, really, and I'm a big fan of the Q&A, by the way, and some of the answers that come out of some of those ridiculous questions are absolutely fantastic. We also need to discuss whether we go for this awards next year, because we need to do that. But we've had a question from Karen Ashley. Are you taking donations so you can go and buy some bits, Ash?
I'm not anymore. We're all done. Thank you very much, Karen. But I'm sure she missed there was a collection. Blooming heck, and I'm thinking we spam always a lot. No, sorry, Karen. No, we're not taking any more donations. But
we'll be doing Easter eggs in March.
Yeah, Easter eggs are coming up, so just save your Easter eggs.
Yeah. Can I just sort of jump in there and, as much as we irritate each other on a podcast level, we do love each other, don't we? Me and big airy bloke over there. The stuff that we've done at various points this year. Yeah, the stuff that we've done at various points this year, from the Easter egg drop to all the community stuff that we bang on about, and we talked about loads and loads and loads, which I genuinely believe in no small part has contributed to us winning an award at the Football Content Awards last week. Jokes aside, it makes such a difference, and at various points going forwards, we want to make it something that's bigger and better, and we want to keep doing that. There will be other opportunities for people to contribute. So just keep an eye on all socials. We will spam. We've got other bits that are going on. We've got other things that are coming up. I don't think because we've not spoken about it, we've got something coming up just before Christmas. I'm not going to mention that yet. I don't think.
Is it more gambling? Because Stevie's gambling.
No, it's something that we've talked about with Brains in at the bottom left. So once that comes to fruition, we're getting to round about that point where we need to start getting that out there, aren't we? Without being too cryptic.
Oh, sorry, Stevie, I cut you off there.
I was just saying, without being too cryptic, I don't want to say it because I don't want to steal your thunder, mate.
It's not my thunder, mate. It's our thunder. Martin Beebe's got a question. Who has known who the longest from the podcast?
You and I have known each other for 3 decades, Ash. So you know what I mean. Yeah, that's pretty set in stone. But we did have a conversation. In fact, actually, while I've got you for these last 10 minutes, while I'm treading water, I need to tell you this story. Come here. There was a wonderful bit at the awards on Thursday that we went to. I don't know if we mentioned it. Where there was
Where were we?
At Tottenham Hotspur Stadium at the Football Content Awards. And where the Best Charitable Organisation Award came out, and I need to hand it to Joe Cran and Stevie, who clocked it at exactly the same time. That the winner of that category was Kick It Out, and the 3 people that collected the award for Kick It Out, 3 white folks. Brilliant! What an organisation.
And that's fine. Listen, that's all right.
That's okay. Which leads me on to my next point on the back of that question, who's known each other the longest? We also brought up the story, and I don't know if we've aired this. I don't know if we've told this story, Stevie,
We must have at some point.
about Stevie's first foray onto the podcast. So back when I was doing it with Eddie, Beastie, and Lord Hillsborough back in the early days, around 2012, we started to do an advent calendar bit of output where we got a fan on, talk for 2 minutes, and then that was behind door number 2, for example. And I thought we got Stevie on. I thought Stevie was one of those people that came on. And just as, we were changing lineups and things such as that, I messaged Stevie out the blue thinking to myself that Stevie's been on. I'll let you pick the story up from here, Stevie.
So I was out in Lancashire, Northwich with a mate from uni, 4:00 in the morning, get a DM, 30 DM from Dan Fudge. You okay to record this week? Yeah, no problem whatsoever, he said, after going, ooh, this is a good opportunity, isn't it? So I've jumped on the first podcast that I did, and it was back in those days, it was pre-COVID, there were no online stuff, it was dial-in on your phone. So I sat there sort of making sure I wasn't muting myself and all sorts. And within 30 seconds, Dan's gone, Stevie, it's been a long time since we've had you on the podcast, hasn't it? And that was literally the first time, the first question that I answered on here. And I could only respond by saying, I've never been on here before. And that was the first time me and Dan spoke to each other. And look at us now.
So if you're that person that I think was that person, I assume it's a person of colour that I've been following on Twitter for the last 12 years. I'm sorry, I don't know who you are.
Is this our Jeremy Ilan award?
But no, listen. Imagine how good the podcast would be if it was him and not me.
We could be multiple award-winning Stevie. I don't know.
We've had a question from Sharman. We all know the extensive future husband list of Holly, beautiful Holly. But if which player would you marry and why?
Is this a trick question?
No, I think it's a question.
Liam Palmer.
Why, Stevie?
I love him.
Well, yeah, that's why you get married. Come on, what about him? Come on, tell me a bit about him.
You know. I'm not going to go into it. I'm not going to.
I'm going to go. Does it have to be a current player?
Just pick a player.
George Byers.
George Byers, great one. Wears a size small shorts.
Yeah, well, yeah, they're up there. Look.
What about you, John?
It's got to be Bannon, little Bazza.
That first dance would be a bit awkward. You're a tall lad, John.
Yeah, I'd probably make him wear shorts so we could look like the Crankies or something like that. Or sit him on my knee like a ventriloquist dummy.
Brilliant. Well, I'll put a pin in that. Mine would be Callum Patterson, because if he told me to do something, he'd be like, "Go and make the dinner." I'll be all like shy and retiring and go, "Okay." Like, you know what I mean?
Jay Bloggs has outed you, Stevie, on that. What we're going to announce for Christmas. If the TWW cast were to release a calendar, what month would you be, and what would your prop be? I'm assuming he means like the calendar girls thing with a little teapot and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. I like that. That's a good question.
That's a cracking question. That. Has anyone seen those? The cue snooker, the chalk little things like them?
Yeah.
Little, that'd be mine.
In what month? I mean, it'd have to be a cold one, right?
It'd have to. Yeah, no, it'd have to be warm. I'd go August.
I'd like to do March and just get myself Oh, I tell you what would be quite funny. Just if I just didn't shave and grew my hair out and looked a right bloody mess. Put a bit of weight on and then wore a nappy and they got a little bow and arrow and dressed like Cupid for February, like that. Fag on, yeah, all right. You know what I mean? There'd be something quite funny about that.
So, yeah, but February what? Like 2072? Because I want you to get a beard.
Turkey next year.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
There you go.
Anyone else? No. Anyone else have a calendar month?
I'd be a summer month, like something from the Full Monty with a framed picture of Liam Palmer covering my
Oh my God, this is weird.
I'll stop now.
Right,
Sorry,
let's
I'll
stop it there because this
I'll
is a
stop.
frustrating piece of radio. This is. What did Holly say? What did she go for?
Oh crap! Neither of these things help the calendar girls thing. I don't know
No,
what-
she said October. Clown, we're going to pair of wellies. She didn't even. She didn't even.
Well, I don't
think
think
about
she
it.
got the.
Didn't even break a sweat. Just straight in before we answered. Listen, I'm going to put a pin in that because this is some terrible radio out there. Listen, thank you so much again for the award. Thank you so much for donating to PACT as well. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you to everybody who does this podcast, and thank you to everybody that listens to it. It's absolutely incredible. I'm going to put a pin in this now. See you later.
Every week, live from 8 p.m. It's the Wednesday week, bringing you football analysis,
He came in. I think he scored a goal.
bringing you banter,
Yeah.
bringing you responsible life hacks.
Met you wonderful souls at 10 a.m. for some shots.
The Wednesday week, 1, 2, 3, 4 live. Available on all social medias.
Obviously, this goes out on YouTube and as well as all the other social media out there, podcasts, etc.
The Wednesday week 24-25 season. Join us.